What's up, bad boys and girls? Today's topic is, why don't people telecommute more? I don't get it. And the reason this comes up is on Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday. Wow, this is already Saturday. Wednesday, I drove to the White Mountains. And on my drive to the White Mountains, approximately 9 o'clock, I saw on 93 South, because I was going 93 North, a line of cars, a traffic jam that was 5 or 6 miles long. And I thought to myself, what a terrible life that is, spending what has to be a couple hours a day in traffic. 2 hours of every day. That's 1/12 of your life, including sleeping. That's even way more significant portion of your waking life. It's a huge waste. We have the technology now, and people experimented with it, particularly during pandemic. Why don't more people do it? It's insane not to do it. It seems to me that most jobs now, people are on a computer at work. They're in a cubicle, on a computer, at work, in an office. If you're doing work on a computer, you can do it at home. And everybody wins hugely, bigly. Let me run through the reasons. First of all, the time savings. Time is the most valuable thing there is. You can get more of most other things. Money, clothing, whatever. You can't get more time. Precious, precious time you're wasting in traffic. And I gotta fix my hat. It looks ridiculous. Everything's backwards. There we go. How can anyone take me serious with a crooked hat, right? All right. By the way, this hat was $6 in a yard sale in Estonia. No wonder it was so cheap. It's backwards. Okay. Here are the pros and cons. Well, you tell me the cons. I don't know any cons. Give me a comment. Do you know any cons? Huge time savings. Not only that, the time spent in traffic is stressful. So it relieves stress. That is a terrible, terrible, terrible thing for your health, to sit in traffic. You're not getting any exercise. You're just getting stressed. And of course, not to mention the chances of getting in an accident. We won't even consider that. Let's talk about the wear and tear on your car, etc., and the savings in gas if you don't telecommute. That is a giant, giant expense. Gasoline, huge. Imagine if you didn't have to use all that gas, and if you didn't telecommute, you might need only one car in your family. So there you'd save on car payments and excise tax and insurance, etc. Then I mentioned the money related to gas, but also related to gas and carbon and emissions is the climate change. If everybody who could would telecommute, wouldn't it cure climate change? Wouldn't we be automatically on the road to Wellville when it comes to climate change? Wouldn't that kind of put us over the hump, going back the good way? And for businesses, they could get a new place, a smaller place, and save on rent. And you wouldn't have to buy so many clothings. So much clothing. You trust me, now that I'm retired, I need far less clothing, far fewer items than I did before. Although in my job, I didn't see many people, but DJs and talk hosts, a lot of them work from home if they can. They set up the studio in the home. Why would you go into work? Go in there in the snowstorm. Go in there because you like the office culture? Do you really like the office culture? all those chances to get in trouble for saying the wrong thing and getting busted for accidentally saying some boomer thing. Then there's the irritating small talk at work in the office culture. It's gross. Hey, what's up? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, sitting in that cubicle is life-sucking and mind-numbing, and you don't have to do that. I don't get it. Why don't more people telecommute? Maybe maybe you tried it. Do you not like it? Is it because you felt isolated? So what? Go out, get a coffee. I wouldn't think of that as a bad thing. I would think, geez, I no longer have to make small talk with people that you only kind of like. You don't have to be on your best behavior. It is good if you stay home not to just lounge around in your pajamas all day. That's all you got to do is get dressed, and it is somehow motivating. Is it that people aren't as productive in the home? Well, then be more productive. Just, if it will save you all the time and money and effort, then just figure out a way to be productive. Drink more coffee, whatever. Just set yourself some goals. And as far as the employers, do they like you in the office so that the manager can lord over you? Well, then, if that's the case, heck, set it up so that you're monitored all the time. The manager can have monitors. How many employees do they have? 50? All right, they can have 50 little cameras with watching you all the time, just like at work. Something like that. Working in a cubicle farm is so bogus. Hey, I can't think of any other. Yeah, that's it. A million huge reasons for telecommuting, and I can't think of any reasons not to, except some sort of productivity. But that is not necessarily, doesn't have to be that way because of telecommuting. Just be more productive. Just grow a pair and do your job. I mean, most jobs based on results. If you just do your job, the tasks given to you, isn't that enough? And if you wanted to, you could even be a little bit more productive. Say if you save 2 hours a day or 1 hour a day in commuting, then work an extra 50 minutes, whatever. Oh, also think of the money you save on buying lunches at work. And you don't have to pack a lunch to take it, whatever. It's a win-win-win-win. I don't get what happened. Can you please leave comments to tell me why this isn't happening? Because it is just so dumb and so stupid on so many levels. What gives? Maybe I'm missing something. Vittorio Zadro says, I want your lid. That is such an interesting name. Vittorio sounds Italian to me. Is it impolite now to ask about the origins of the name? Because that's too bad, because I like to talk about people's names and the culture from which their ancestors came. I don't think that's so wrong. On Channel 2, there's that show where they have celebrities check out their family tree. And I'm interested in your forebears and their culture. Zadro. Is that, let me think. Slovenian? Not Slovakian, Slovenian. What is it? Vittorio. Like, Italy is so close to Slovenia. Right? That maybe. Tell me, Zadro, what is it? Phil says a lack of socialization is more harmful to your health than some cancers. Okay. There's got to be a way to be social without going I can be social on my own time. Does the socialization at work, was that helpful? That's a good point. Did that socialization at work count towards my health? Or when they say a lack of socialization is more harmful to your health than some cancers, does that mean socialization rather than work socialization? I was stressed at work, having to talk to, hey, what's up? Hey, that caused me stress, and I know that stress is bad. Some cancers, by the way, some cancers. Charlotte Braun. Are you related to Ava Braun? Love the show on PBS. Oh, no, what's his name? Professor Gates, right? He was the one involved with that snafu regarding when President Obama wanted to have a beer to straighten everything out, right? Wasn't that the guy that was busted for trying to get into his own house? Further, staying at home prevents you from taking on helpful antibodies. Okay, those are two things. I can get antibodies like crazy very quickly by going to Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's, I get all the antibodies a person could want in a year. As a matter of fact, going to Trader Joe's is the most dangerous thing I do. You might say, hey, isn't flying into Tel Aviv more dangerous than that? No, not really. I must have gotten COVID at Trader Joe's. I mean, that's where I get my antibodies. The good thing is that the antibodies at Trader Joe's are free. You do not have to pay extra for that. I went to another market, one of the standard markets, the other day, and it's the one on Harvard Ave between Brookline Village and Cleveland Circle. It kind of felt like Radio Shack. Remember what Radio Shack felt like when it was going out of business? Kind of like everybody was kind of just floating around. Nobody cared. The shelves were kind of half empty. I went there. There were a few pieces of broccoli that were kind of limp. It was so sad. Anyway, those are good points, Phil Kate. Yes, what? Yes. Can you be more specific on the yes? I don't know which of the things you said or I said you're referring to. Yes, antibodies, socialization. Let's address that a little bit before I go. Well, here's a good question. Does online interaction count as socialization? You may be quick to say no, but why? Why, I ask? It's stimulating the mind. They can appreciate me or not appreciate me based on pretty much everything that you could do in person. You know what the only thing you can't do in person is? Touch. And you're not allowed to do that anyway. Nobody touches each other in person. Well, you might say smell. I don't really smell people. When I was at work, I don't remember smelling people. Maybe there was some subconscious level of smell, but that wasn't key. So how much better is in-person socialization than online socialization? If you do it the way I do it. The way I do it. I don't know why I burped. I hiccuped. It was a hiccup. I've actually thought about this, and I have come to the conclusion that you can glean about 80% of whatever you get from social interaction from online interaction. True, I can't touch you. True. But nobody touches anyway. People don't even like to shake hands anymore. And can't smell you, but I can see you. And I can speak with you. I can hear you. What is the other sense? Taste. I can't taste you. I didn't do a lot of tasting of people in the workplace anyway. So I'm going to say that I'm getting some goodness from socialization. And it may be even more healthy because I can socialize with people that I'm going to learn from. Which is what I do. I've become very, very choosy about who I bother to spend time with. During the pandemic, it was kind of like when a company takes over another company and fires everybody and makes the people earn their job back. Well, I kind of did the same thing during the pandemic. So I started realizing when it was time to get in touch again, when the disease went away, I would be all, oh, wait a minute. Why am I calling this person? They're really kind of irritating. I learned nothing from them. It's the same old thing over and over. It was just a habit. It was just, what do you call it? When an object emotion tends, inertia. When an object in motion tends to stay in motion and an object that still tends to stay still. It was kind of social inertia. Yeah, I just didn't call. I really don't. That person was a waste of time. So now I kind of interact with folks that I feel benefit me. Is that selfish? No. It's just efficient. Let's go back to what Phil Kate is saying. He says, perhaps a good accommodation would be hybrid at work, at home schedule. A larger question is, why does public trans suck? Well, that is certainly a different question, but is it a larger question? Perhaps. Is it larger than, is work better at home or in some office? Why does public transportation suck? Okay. Well, it doesn't everywhere. It does here, and it depends on what you mean by suck. I still use it. I still love it. That's me. You just don't. If you go at rush hour, it sucks. The reason is because it's not the priority that it should be. Really, the state, I think in Massachusetts, the state itself should realize that the well-being of Boston is good for the state, and a public transportation system is necessary for the well-being of the city. There are other more complicated reasons that it sucks. One of the reasons is that it was related to the Big Dig. That the Big Dig was really a very bad thing in some ways. There was a part of the deal getting the federal funds of the Big Dig is, you have to make extensions on some of the lines. And yeah, it's cool that I get to go to Union Square now on the T, and that Union Square can visit me. But those track extensions were wildly expensive, and that was one of the things that drug us down. There's some other things. Now, yes, it was Skip Gates. Skip. What's his actual first name? Is it Robert? Boom. There is absolutely a transfer of airborne hormones in the company of others. Oh, really? So that's it, airborne hormones. Where did you learn that? I'm not doubting you. Okay. Maybe. That's interesting. All right. If I didn't have to go to work, and I would think if other people did not have to go to the workplace, all they have to do is take one of those hours, or how many hours a week do you save if you don't commute? 5, 10? Just resolve to go out where people are. Whether it's a meeting at the Athenaeum or going to Joe's. I bet you can soak up some hormones at Joe's. Henry Louis Gates Jr., right? Clinton did what, Phil? Clinton did get hormones? Henry Louis Gates Jr. President Clinton had a habit of tasting people when he was at work. Okay, that's right. But that's probably See, it did seem to land him in a spot of trouble, and probably not recommended. So I'm going to assume that there is hormone transfer when you get with a group of people. So good to know. Good to know. If you can find a way to socialize a lot more, because you'll have the time to socialize more since you're not commuting, you resolve to join some sort of group, like a pollinator garden group, which I joined. It was very rewarding. I don't know how well the hormones transfer outside in the breeze. There are other groups of like-minded people. Maybe you have a hobby. Do that. That's probably a way healthier life. Telecommute for work, hang out in person socially. There you go. And of course, Trader Joe's, packed with both hormones and antibodies. I should go now. Oh yeah, I have to actually go to Trader Joe's and get a box of wine. That's right, box of wine. Oh, sure, I could go to the fancy liquor store or wine store, but no. And this brings me to the topic of maybe my next broadcast, which you can look forward to, and I want you to think about your keys to happiness. Your keys to happiness. One of them is, and this is something Americans don't really know as a group. Yeah, the reason I know that is because, well, you'll know I'm right. Do not spend beyond your means. In other words, spend below your means. If you've got X dollars, spend less than that. And one of the ways to do that is by only spending money on the necessities and your creative tools, things you need to be comfortable, shelter, food, but healthy food, not fancy food, and the tools to be creative, because that is also an extremely psychologically important thing. I make music, so instruments and computer. If you're an artist, art supplies. Don't scrimp on tools. If you build stuff, buy quality tools. But other than that, take a look at what you're doing and try to decide, am I doing this because I want to, or because the TV told me to, or because society told me to, or because society thinks this is cool? No. When you're doing something, actually try to register how you feel and actually rate it. And if you're honest with yourself, some of the free things in life will make you really just as happy as the stuff that everyone says is cool to do. I like to walk up and down a hill and listen to music, listen to my radio shows over and over. Love it. So around 7 o'clock, I'll go out at night and walk up and down a steep hill as many times as I can. And I realize if I really gauge how does this make me feel, it makes me feel right up there. And when you go on a trip, you're doing something that society thinks, oh, you got to travel. And I don't mean to badmouth travel, but when you're there, try to rate how much fun is this really? Like, how does this make me feel? Try to be objective as you can and rate that. And you'll be surprised. It's not as high as you might think. The memories are great. But buying a boat, a jet ski, or whatever, because it's cool, don't do it. So glad I'm back on the air, says Charlotte Braun. Again, are you related to Ava Braun? You could be. And that does not reflect poorly on you, not your fault. Let's go. Armpit hair is the body's hormone disperser. Disperser. It's like one of those home, what do you call it? Air fresheners things. Only armpit hair is the body's hormone disperser. Wow. So a lot fewer hormones must be dispersed during the winter because everyone's wearing clothing, like coats and stuff at Trader Joe's. And maybe that's why people get the blues. Maybe it's not only because of the light factor, but maybe it's because of the body's armpit hair, the hormone disperser, is buried deep beneath your fancy winter parka. Okay, good place to stop. I have a lot of fun with you guys. Charlotte Braun, share all these. And think about, for next time, your personal keys to happiness. Not just your and I can't tell you all my keys to happiness, because my path is a lot different than many others' paths. But there are a few things that are pretty universal, and I'll share those with you. One of them is not commuting. That will be on the list. I was fortunate in growing up that we lived right across the street from the school that we went to for 8 years. I'm talking exactly across the street, like 1 7-iron shot, 9-iron shot away from the school. So we never had to take a bus, where some people had to be on this school bus for an hour. I got to save something for next time, right? Thanks for being with me, Charlotte B. and Phil C. and Vittorio Zadro. Or is it? No, Vittorio Zadro. Bye-bye.